Hello and welcome back to ExtraTyne on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. My name is Jess. I'm joined by my co-host Laura as always. How's it going, Laura? You good?
Yes, all good, thanks.
Good. And we've been joined this week by Rob and Randall, who you're probably familiar with as they've both been on before. We've got a lot to get through and we haven't got much time because the lads are on later on at 8:30 with the trust, so we're just going to crack on, get straight into it. I wasn't here last week, but again, positive result. Another positive result, which we weren't expecting on Saturday it was. The game was on Saturday. But the game started awfully. Laura, I know I'm going to hold my hands up. I didn't watch it because of the superstitions. I did watch the highlights on a catch up, but yeah, Laura, I'll start with you. We started awful. I got out of the shower. I think I went in the shower at like 12:25. I got out and we were losing. Laura, talk us through the awful start on Saturday.
I was going out at 1:00, so I had it like on my laptop while I was getting ready. So I was half watching it, half not. And then when they scored after 3 minutes, I was like, here we'll go again. So again, and then I stopped watching it. So I've only seen highlights as well. But I was really shocked at how I heard it went, obviously, like when I was getting messages and stuff. And then when I've seen it back, I was really quite pleasantly surprised. I know we're on like a Newcastle version of a run. It's not like really a run, but it's our version. But I really didn't expect to take 2 points off Liverpool over the season. So it was totally unexpected. But I think second half, it was way better. We had like a few chances and the goal, I know we'll come on to it later, but Wilson's goal was just buzzing, and then I screamed in Barluga because I thought we'd scored, and then obviously we didn't, and then 2 seconds later it was like, no, we really have, and it was just massive, like another boost. I just think confidence is high, so I think hopefully it'll continue, and I was very shocked, but
it was definitely an unexpected point. I mean, I really didn't expect anything at all. The one thing, if you can call it a negative, I suppose we can, is the amount of chances. I mean, like I rewatched the game. Well, I had the game on again today when I was working, like just to refresh myself. And in the first half, I think what was maybe half an hour, 35 minutes in, and one of the commentators said this could easily be 4-3, 5-4 by now. Randall, is it? I know it obviously it was a good point. It was amazing, but how frustrating is it when we're getting the chances and we're not putting them away?
I don't know, because I think it was probably a fair result, because there was a number of times where Liverpool probably could have scored as well. Because in the first half, was it Kieran Clark did an absolutely horrendous error? Yeah, we were so lucky to get away with that. And then in the second half, I think it was Longstaff did something similar, and then there was a back pass to Dubravka, which he just cleared, like, luckily as well. So I mean, we're right to get a goal in the game, and I think a point is probably fair at the end of the day. But I understand what you're saying, where we should have like probably scored a few more goals, but we were so lucky to not get more than one goal scored against us.
I just watched it back there, I thought yes, I was pleased, but on another day, Liverpool would have scored all those chances, and so we were quite lucky that we went into half time at 1-0. And also, like, I thought it was the substitutions were positive as well. And I think a few months ago we were talking like Bruce would have played for a point. Sorry, for a 1-0 defeat, he would have been happy with not getting hammered.
Like damage limitation.
Yeah. And I think we've had the conversation on the podcast, like Andy Carroll coming on at 90 minutes, what's he going to do? And 60 minutes, he brought Wilson on, and then again he brought Gale on, and then Willock, obviously. And Willock. So I thought as well, I was quite shocked at. I'm not giving Bruce credit, because obviously I still don't like him.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you have to give him credit for that kind of thing. And it's annoying because everybody wanted Willock to start, but would he have been that like prolific if he had started? Probably not.
Well, I said last week, Chris asked the question, And me and Chris, the other lad, we both said no. We both said Longstaff didn't deserve to be dropped, essentially, in that Willock was like a good impact sub, and again, he proved it. But now I have changed my opinion, and I think he's done so well, it would be a shame not to start him, because what's he got to do now? He's came on and scored 3 goals, so he deserves to start now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I was quite annoyed on when the team sheet came out on Saturday. I did expect him to start, but like we say, I think the right decision, well, it was proven, the right decision was to have him on the bench and bring him on as an impact sub. Rob, do you think that we need to start giving Bruce a little bit of credit? I mean, we're unbeaten in our last 5 home games, and obviously I know that wasn't on, we weren't at home on Saturday, but we are unbeaten in our last 5 home games. We're now 9 points clear of relegation. Do you think that's down to the players? Do you think that they've had enough and they've just they're now doing their own thing, or do you think we do need to give a little bit of credit to Bruce now?
I'm not giving any credit to Bruce. I think a lot of it though is more down to players, and not just because I refuse to give Bruce credit, but when we lost that Brighton game 3-0, and we thought that was the end, we were going down, he was getting the sack, and then it came out the next day, the rumours that they weren't sacking him, they were staying with him, and then something seems to have happened since then. It's almost like the players have accepted he's staying, and they've kind of stepped up a bit more. Like when Richie and that's come into the team, there just seems to be a bit more steel about it. Like, I think that Liverpool game 6 weeks ago, that early Salah goal would have just folded. And I know they missed a lot of chances, but there's something different there to that there was in previous 6-7 weeks, I think. But so I'm not giving Bruce credit.
No, did you say, talking about the players stepping up and stuff, and there being seemed to be a change in confidence, a change obviously because we're starting to win and gain points and draw, and did you say when Will? I was so confused when Willie went to celebrate with him. I thought, was that emotion? Was that just adrenaline? Did he not know where to go? But if they really hated him, like we thought they did a couple of months ago, when we were they've stopped playing for him, he's off the dressing room, you would go nowhere near him.
He was just whispering in his ear, I tell you, you should have started.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that was quite a nice moment. The still images of them celebrating all together. You could see the emotion in them, and you could see how buzzing they were. And I think, and especially Bruce, I don't know if it was relief from Bruce or what, but I did think it was quite nice to see them, because there's been points in this season where we haven't looked like a team. They've looked like complete strangers, and I don't know what it is, but in the last couple of months, something seems to have just clicked, and maybe they've started to gel. I don't know who to give credit to. We're not giving it to Bruce apparently though, so we'll have to give the credit elsewhere. It wasn't without its incident. The whole weekend wasn't without its incidents. So just going to quickly touch on. Obviously, Wilson had his goal disallowed. It went to VAR and the decision was made. Then there was the Man United Leeds game where Shaw handballed it, and that wasn't given. That went to VAR, and then that wasn't given. And then there was the red card in the West Ham game, which went to VAR. The referee checked it, gave him the red card, and that's now been rescinded. So there was so much going on, not just at Newcastle, but all over the place. Laura, do you think it's time that there needs to be a review, not just of VAR, but of refereeing as well? Because you can blame VAR for so much, but ultimately the referees are going over and they're the ones that are making the decisions. So do you think there needs to be some sort of overhaul or like a streamlining of rules? Because it seems to be one rule for one and one rule for another.
Yeah, I think I just watched Bruce's interview there, and it was quite funny when he said, as fans, as a country, whatever, we've overturned the Big Six and the Super League. Can we not all pull together and do something about VAR? Because it is just ridiculous, the inconsistency. Surely VAR is meant to be the consistent thing. It's videoed, they look at it, they make the decision. Then now we're bringing the referee in to then make his decision, and then he's still getting it wrong, and there's just nothing set in stone. So I think there does need to be things set in stone. I know the Shaw thing, he's the defender, isn't he? So it wouldn't be given, whereas Wilson, but again, what can he do with his hand? It was by his side. That there's nothing he can do with it. So there needs to be something, like my dad always says, and we'll have many debates about it in the pub and stuff, about my dad just says he doesn't agree with it, but if it was a case of if it hits anyone's hand, no matter where it is, no matter what it is, where that positioning is, give it, and then there's no complaining. Whereas at the minute, it's some are given, some are not. It just all seems to be opinion, and it shouldn't be opinion.
Yeah, and I think like there's that saying where it's like too many cooks spoil the broth, and it's being passed around from so many different people. Like whoever calls it on the pitch, whether that's the referee or the linesman, and then it goes to VAR, and then you've got people checking it on VAR, and then they decide that the referee needs to have a look at it. Randall, do you think that it's just that, like I say, there's too many people and too many opinions, and then like I don't know if streamline's the right word, but like there just needs to be some sort of consistency.
Well, they need that, and then I don't know if they should have like, I don't know how impossible it would be, but one man to make the decision on all big calls or something like that.
Yeah,
like then it would make it more consistent. I'll be more bothered about this one at the weekend if it had any effect on if we stay up or go down. Because if you remember last season when, was it Villa had a goal disallowed or something? No.
Over the line.
Against them, yeah. And then that kept them in the Premier League. Like, and it's a difference between you staying in a certain league and you're not staying in a certain league. So it is pretty important. It does definitely need fine tuning. Yeah,
it's a bit of a mess. Rob, did you agree with? I know obviously you were not going to agree with the Wilson decision, but did you agree with any of those decisions at the weekend? There was the Wilson one, the Shaw one, and there was, I can't pronounce his name, but there was the player that got sent off for West Ham. I disagreed with every single one. I thought if you're going to give the Wilson one, then you have to give, because it can't. It's so frustrating. Did you agree?
Yeah, I disagree with all of them as well. And like you say, the West Ham one to be overturned, but the thing about the West Ham one as well, like you go on Twitter when it happened, literally every single person was like, that's not a red, that's not a red, that's not a red. Yet there's one person looking at the screen and he's like, yeah, that's definitely a red, get him off. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the Wilson one, it's frustrating as well because they've already come out and said they're going to change that rule starting from next season if it hits you leading to a goal, if it's an accidental. So that would have counted if they brought because Fulham scored a goal, I think, early in the season against Spurs where he controlled it with his arm accidentally and put it in. And they disallowed it. And then after that game, they said, we're going to scrap that rule next season if it's accidental. So Wilson's would have counted if like that was next season, which is just annoying. But it's more, the thing I hate more about VAR, just makes you question everything. Like, I should have been going wild when Willock scored, but in the back of my mind, first thing I was like, oh God, was it an offside in the build-up or something like that?
When I've just watched it back, Wilson, a score, was it 90 minute he scored, Wilson, or 91?
Yeah, 92 or something.
He didn't seem to celebrate as if he just scored an equaliser, and I think that is true. I mean, imagine if the fans were in the ground then, how mental it would have been for it then be disallowed. It's just taken everything out of it, and it's just a shame. I'm surprised Willock went as mad as he did, because is he not surely thinking?
I think it was Matthew Racebeck was commenting on the club site of Radio Newcastle or whatever it was, and he says he was like, surely as soon as it goes in, he's like, surely they can't disallow that one. They have to give that one. But you're right. Every single goal that goes in, not even goal, every single instant that happens, you are doubting it, and you're like, do I celebrate? Do I not? Because 9 times out of 10, you end up sitting down looking like a tit because it's gone the other way.
Nobody even appealed for Wilson's. Nobody. The commentators who are neutral were celebrating the goal. Nobody said, "Oh, mind it, let's wait." Nobody, because nobody thought that it would be.
Say McManaman was neutral.
Sorry?
Did you just say Steve McManaman was neutral on Saturday?
Well, maybe not him, but the other one.
Actually, he was raging, wasn't he?
I didn't watch BT.
Yeah, when Willock scored, he went, oh no, oh.
Well, it wasn't match of the day. It was match of the day that I was watching, so it wasn't him. So the commentators were.
But I think that was balanced out though, because someone pointed it out, if you watch it like really slowly, you can see Jermaine Genius and Jake Humphrey celebrating. That counteracted Steve McManaman's devastation. There was, speaking of devastation, there was devastated Man United fans all over the world this week, because Alan Shearer was inducted, the all-time leading Premier League goal scorer was inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame, which to me makes perfect sense, and there was no doubt in my mind who should have been one of the first players to be inducted. However, Man United fans disagree. What about Giggs? Well, let's not mention him. What about Keane? What about Keane or whoever else they were twisting about? But yes, Alan Shearer was inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame alongside Thierry Henry. So we thought we would make a little Gallowgateshots Hall of Fame for NUFC players, managers, whatever you like. But it didn't have to be because of their achievements, like the 260 goals Shiva's scored. It can be anything, any personal story. So I'm going to come to you first, and then, as always, we'll go to Twitter and we'll read the responses on Twitter. So, Laura, who would you like to put into the Gallowgateshots NUFC Hall of Fame?
I've got a couple. I've got, and I seem to mention them all the time, but Jonas, just because of his backstory and that amazing goal, and he gave me one of my favourite ever moments. So he is definitely up there. Janola as well, because, again, I was young, but it was just when I was starting to like fully support Newcastle, and when I used to go to the training ground, he always stood out as to like, wow, obviously because he's beautiful, but as well just because he was so like pleasant, and obviously he was a brilliant player as well. But my overall, he isn't a player, and it's Rafa. And I know we're not meant to really talk about Rafa anymore, but just for a manager of his stature to come into a club like Newcastle, where, yes, we've got the history of the entertainers and stuff, but at the time, we weren't that great. We had a shit owner. It wasn't great. And for him to come in and do what he did in my lifetime, I always remember him and remember that tenure that he had. So he's up there for me.
Yeah, they're all very, very good shouts. Randall, I'll come to you next. Who would you like to put into the Hall of Fame?
Probably my first ever player that I properly loved, Andy Cole, obviously, and because obviously he went on to other things, shall we say. So I kind of misunderstood. Like, did you want Premier League era or just all-time era?
Just any. I think because obviously this was the Premier League. She was in the Premier League Hall of Fame, but I think because the Premier League's not very old, so I thought we'd do it all time then. All
right, I'll give you three in my lifetime then. So Andy Cole, Les Ferdinand, and Peter Beardsley. And Peter Beardsley's like, I remember watching him growing up, and I just thought he's absolutely genius. So then him and Andy Cole together, unstoppable. So them three for me.
And Rob, who would you like to put in the Hall of Fame?
For me, just because he's my favourite ever Newcastle player, more from my era and growing up, was Laurent Robert, just because I absolutely loved him. Like, his left foot, unbelievable. His free kicks, unbelievable. The fact that if you follow on Instagram now, it's like following Pablo Escobar with his blooming cigars. He's just living the life, and I'll never forget that on his last ever game when he just went to the Gallowgate and stripped down his undies and threw every bit of clothing he had. And I'm sad that I didn't get a piece of that. But
I always remember when I was going on holiday, and I can't remember how old I was, but I was young, and he was in the airport, and me and my dad were watching him. He was just smoking a cigar, just chilling in the airport. I was just like, oh, he's mental.
And just as like a novelty edition as well, just because I can picture it, I would love Ket Spire in there, because I can just imagine him picturing walking up the steps, getting his award, and there's the video behind him of him just kicking the crap out of those sideboards when he scored. It would just be random as hell.
I think someone might have said Ket Spire. I'm going to go to the tweets in a minute, but I think someone might have said Ket Spire for the same reason. I'm inducting my person for services to acting. So I would like to put Stephen Taylor into the Hall of Fame. For services to acting. That I was at the game with me granda, the Villa game, which it was the game when there was the Boy Adair fight. We got beat 3-0. We got beat 3-0. I know. We got beat 3-0, and Stephen Taylor got shot. So
was that the same game?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah,
what an eventful game.
It had absolutely everything. Me and my granddad was sat just behind the goal where Taylor's unfortunate incident happened. And so we had 3 players sent off. We got beat 3-0, I think it was, and we still stayed until the end, which was just. I don't really have the words, but yes, I would like to induct Stephen Taylor for his services to acting. And then we had loads of replies on Twitter as always, so I'll quickly go through them. Chris Tatum said that he would put Gary Speed in. Darryl listed everyone who's ever played for Newcastle.
Does he know what a Hall of Fame is?
Luckily, there's no reasons, and we'll be here all night, and we'll have got the trust on at 8:30, so I'm on borrowed time here. Darryl said, Shea Given, Gary Speed, Rob Lee, Nobby Solano, Les Ferdinand, Warren Barton, Steve Howie, Peter Beardsley, Pav, James Perch, Jonas, Ryan Taylor, Shola, Colaccini, Kevin Keegan, and Sir Bobby Robson.
James Perch.
This club doesn't seem very exclusive, man. This Hall of Fame.
I think he misjudged it and thought it meant like best 11 and not Hall of Fame.
There's no room for anyone else, so we'll have to call it. We had Dave Waddle, I think that's your name, said Tino because he chatted up his 18-year-old stepdaughter when she worked in the vineyard. He let him lay it on with a trowel and then he gave him a rocket in Spanish and he put what he said in Spanish, but I'm not even going to attempt to say it. I'll probably get done. This is going to be so offensive. And because what if it's a swear word or something? Right, if you want to see what he said, go to me tweet and read the replies because I'm scared to say that. It's
Just
something
apologise
about
to the viewers tuning in Spain before you say it.
It says it starts with tu madre, which I think is your mother. So let's leave it there. Andy Burnham said Jonas for giving us the greatest middle finger to Ashley imaginable. And Jack Hall also said Jonas because his story is incredible and inspirational. And he just seems like a lovely bloke. He's not the best footballer we ever had, but he'll always be one of his favourites. And I think that's probably echoed by the vast majority of us as well. Jack also said Sibierski because he was written off before he'd even kicked a ball, but became a cult hero as he scored important goals in Europe. Charlotte 30 said this was one of my favourites. This was like exactly what we were looking for. Said DeAndre Yedlin because he brought us Yedlin's Tea Party and Simba the skateboarding bulldog. That Simba was just incredible. Is Simba still alive?
I've never seen him for ages.
No, I haven't seen him. I'm sure the dog had its own Twitter account at some point as well, or Instagram. Sorry. Simon Wilson said Clarence Acuna but he has to be dressed as Captain Hook when he's receiving the award. Matthew Titley said Joe Willock, which I think he's blinded by recent events. To be honest, to see a lone player who we've had since January should go in the Hall of Fame is a little.
Lone players always break our heart.
I know, and to be fair, I did say anything goes in the Gallowgateshots Hall of Fame, and I think some people took that quite literally.
I did really put Rondon, and then I thought, Hall of Fame, kind of.
We've got Magic Muto said Mike Williamson for me. My Get Mike to Brazil campaign gave me a little bit of Twitter fame and even made it into the Chronicle. In fairness, though, he got a lot of stick at times, but he did a good job for us more often than not. # Iron Mike. I actually remember that Get Mike to Brazil thing as well. Because that was the World Cup Shola played, wasn't it? And Twitter that's one of my favourite things that ever happened on Twitter was when Shola came on in the World Cup in 2014 and all of Twitter just went mental.
I mustn't have had it then, I can't remember.
I've got a screenshot somewhere. I'll find it and put it in the group later on. It was literally just like Shola, fucking Shola. It was absolutely incredible. Like I was in Leeds at the time, and I'm pretty sure I could hear the roar from Newcastle. There's one here I'm going to come back to. We've got one from James Silvio Marich, a legend in his own mind. Stuart said Scott Sellers, the man Giggs wishes he was. Ketsubaya for the iconic moment. Caused stadium damage that the club are yet to repair. Robert, obviously, because he scored an overhead back heel. And then he also said Marcus Rashford, who doesn't actually play for Newcastle, but he said he will undoubtedly play for them one day, as he does on every Football Manager save. Another one for Scott Sellers from Tone 1892. And he also said Albert as well. Not for the goal, but because I offered him a pint and quilted camel, and instead he bought me one, which, again, I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
Was quilted camel around all that time ago?
Well, it looks ancient, so I'm guessing so. Have you been inside?
Yeah.
It looks like it's been there since the dawn of time.
I'm always drunk when I'm in there, I can't remember.
Mike Focus said Nobby Solano, because living in Plymouth, any chance to see a Toon legend, he'll take it. And when Plymouth played Leicester in 2009, he signed his Newcastle shirt for him and talked to him for about half an hour about how much he loved Newcastle, which was really nice. Phil Hook said, Sir Les, if only for the story involving Gaza in the England dressing room. If you know the story, you'll be grinning like a Cheshire cat. Does anyone know the story?
Yeah, man, I'm not saying it.
Everyone get in. If you do know the story there, put it in the comments, please, and I'll read it out because I really want to know what that is.
Really rude, mind.
Is it? Oh,
Just tell us.
Yeah. No, it's something about can I hold it, and that's all I'm saying. I'm sure that's right. I'm sure that's right.
Well, if someone puts it in the comments, I'll tell it.
I'm sure it was something like it was so big. He said, "Let's hold it. Let us hold it," and then it became a superstition where every pre-game he had to sit and hold it for a little while.
That's mint.
Sorry,
yes,
Dad.
He's definitely going in the Hall of Fame. Joe Halliday said Nobby Solano's right foot and Lauren Robert's left foot should be inducted. We can do that. Anything goes, like I said. So we'll have we'll have his right foot and his left foot. Scott Whale, Les Ferdinand, Michael Mid 90, Nobby Solano. We've got a Dan, another one for Nobby Solano. The obvious one would be Gary Speed, and finally Shay Given. But someone called their name is John Wick Obertan, so I'm not entirely sure what your real name is. But he wants to induct Jean-Alain Boomsong's agent. So
very good.
That's good.
Tom Lynch said he was going to say David Kelly, but remembered it's the Premier League Hall of Fame. It's not. It's not.
What I thought it was.
It's not. It's the Gallowgateshots Hall of Fame. Right. So David Kelly can be in. Tom, he's in. And Stephen Coleman said Les Ferdinand, class act, a beast of a striker, Gary Speed, Rob Lee, and Philippe Albert. And I'm just going to go back to a reply from Kev Temp, who said
I was going to say this was Kev's me friend, and
so Laura's friend Kev has replied to him he could name a few Hall of Shamers, and the replies were got Seamus Coleman, Shame Duffy, John O'Shame, David Shames, and Shame Duffy.
Absolutely love. Nothing beats football puns. Like I love it.
So that's just sorted out our content for next week. So tune in next week for the Hall of Shame. But yes, the replies again were absolutely class. We've had a couple of comments. Dan Whitten's asking, has anyone said Shiva, or does he just go without saying Shiva's the whole reason why we're doing it? So Shiva's there. Adam has said Pancrat. Gary Hannett has said Kevin Keegan. We've got Gary Cumpson, my dad, has said Peter Beardsley. And he was beautiful as well. He certainly was. But yes, so that's our Gallowgateshots Hall of Fame. There's, I think it was Chris actually commented saying it would be easy to name the players that aren't in, and he's quite correct because I think we've put in absolutely everybody. But yes, that's our Hall of Fame. We do need to keep moving on because we do have the trust down at 8:30. Plug. Arsenal on Sunday. We play at St James's Park. It's Bank Holiday Sunday, so everyone will be off work on Monday, so you can have a drink to either calm your nerves, drown your sorrows, celebrate. Let's see. We're going to this game 9 points clear of the relegation zone. We've lost twice to Arsenal this season. We lost 2-0 in the FA Cup and we lost 3-0 in the league. However, we are, as I touched on before, unbeaten in our last 5 home games. Willock's ineligible. We've got a few players out. We've still got Lascelles out. We've still got Darlow out, Fraser, and someone else. Isaac Hayden's still out. But we do have Wilson back. We've got St Maximin back. There's a lot of positives. There's a lot of negatives. Seem to be balancing themselves out. Laura, how are you feeling about the game on Sunday?
Well, I won't be watching again because I'm out. So I'm quite hopeful because we did all right when I wasn't watching on Sunday and Saturday, and I'm very superstitious. So I think, right, well, we did okay last Saturday. We might do okay this Sunday. But But again, I think it's just a couple of unpredictable teams, to be honest, isn't it? So you never know what you're really going to get. And Arsenal are a bit of a bogey team as well. So I don't know. I think Wilson, I was watching the highlights back, and I feel like even though we didn't take all the chances, I always now feel like we're going to score every game. And that's a few months ago. I thought, obviously, when Wilson was out, I really couldn't see whatever scoring with Joe Linton. And then now I see like a little bit of promise, and I feel like it's more attacking minded. So I am quite optimistic, but when I say optimistic, I don't think we're going to win. I think it's going to be a draw.
That's our level of optimism.
Yeah.
Arsenal are playing tomorrow in the it's not
Europa.
That's it. There's a plane taken off somewhere.
No,
I don't know what that is. Arsenal play tomorrow, and they've recently, I think it was last weekend, they lost against Everton. Before that, they drew with Fulham. So they're not well. Obviously, depending on how they go tomorrow, they're not really going into it on excellent form. Randall, do you feel confident? Do you think we'll carry on this momentum of the last few games?
I think it's a good time to play them because all the stuff that went on with the Super League and all the unrest with all the fans and stuff like that, which may kind of shake them up a little bit. But that game against Fulham that they drew, it was very boring. Like, they weren't anything special. So I reckon if Fulham can get something out of a game, then I can't see why we can't, to be honest with you, especially with Callum Wilson fit. So, yeah, I can see us getting a point, at least.
Yeah. Rob, how are you feeling about it? Do you feel our levels of optimism, or are you not going into it very confident?
I do. I share the levels of optimism, like say their form, the fact that we're sandwiched in between the two Europa games. I fancy we're to win it by 3-1, I'll say.
Bloody hell.
Oh.
It's Arsenal on paper. You obviously hear the name Arsenal and think, oh, we'll lose, but it's like 10th place Arsenal in the league that aren't really up to much at the minute. So
there's kind of like no pressure on us anymore as much. So I feel like maybe it would make
do you think we're safe now?
Well, that's
I
think we're safe.
I was just about to go there because I'm still until it is like mathematically confirmed.
Yeah.
I'm not. So
you're
long
talking Fulham though. That's like 3 wins out the last 4
I think
games.
It would have to be like a drastic catastrophe at the minute. And I think I said this a couple of weeks ago as well. Like, not much is going Fulham's way, and we, for once in my life, seem to be a bit lucky in terms of Liverpool didn't take the chances. We came up against a pretty shit Liverpool that on another day would have hammered we. And I think maybe when you looks in, and when you're in a poor run with poor confidence, which Fulham are at the minute, I think it doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I do think that it would take something drastic, like something major, to send us down now, which I'm very surprised at, because I honestly, after that Brighton game, I was like,
massive.
That was it, pretty much confirmed for me. So to pull it back to where we have, I think is absolutely incredible, but I'm still not confident. I like what you just said there, it would take something drastic. This is Newcastle United. I mean, like the fair enough, we've not played so bad in the last however many games it is. Like the last couple of months, not even a couple of months, maybe last month or so, we have picked up. And like you said, I think it was the Brighton game, wasn't it, where that seems to have been a turning point, because as if they've realised, well, he's not going to get sacked, so we might as well.
And I think Bruce is just, again, I always think of it as like omens and superstitions, and I think Bruce is just the luckiest bloke alive not to be sacked. Any other manager in the Premier League would have been sacked. I think it would just be sod's law. He'll keep it up. He'll be the saviour. All the
it's not only that, he's going to get manager of the month as well, isn't he, this month, probably?
Yeah, probably.
But
then that
top the whole thing off, won't it?
That'll be a new contract on top of it.
Yeah. But then in terms of that always, when you get manager of the month, who was it that got manager of the month? Was it Pardew?
He got manager of the
and then it just went shh. And I think as well, so no, I think Bruce is a lucky man, and I think it would just be typical for then all the pundits to jump on what do you want him sacked for? He kept you up, he did brilliant. So
I know that's a good point, actually. We'll have a quick chat about that. So say we stay up, and obviously, like you say, the pundits will jump straight on Bruce's. They will, as they have been all season, they will be on Bruce's side, and I'm sure he'll be getting the credit and all the praise and stuff. If he keeps us, up and he stays,
you know the answer to this before you ask it. Surely.
Are you going to be happy? Because, or can you see us staying up and Bruce leaving? Can you see that happening?
No.
I think we all know that. No, it's a case of he's going to stay and we're not going to be happy about it, but we've accepted it's going to happen and there's nothing we can do about it. It's like just going to be a repeat season, I feel like, until something drastically changes at the very, very top, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think that's a really depressing thought as well. I agree. I think until something happens right at the top, I think, or unless he walked, which he's not going to, is he?
Absolutely no chance.
He's too, is arrogant the right word? Stubborn, maybe? Stubborn. I think he's too stubborn. And I feel like, especially at Newcastle, he kind of would want to prove a point. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I think he'll feel like he has, if he keeps it up, which I know I'm talking like what up now and you are a bit unsure, but if he keeps it up, he'll feel like he has done his job and he has proved.
Well, that is his job, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
exactly. The season, stay up, and then that's good enough. So I don't know.
Oh God.
Well, we've ended very depressed.
Now, right. I'll quickly get some predictions, and I'm going to try and think of something nice to end on while we're getting predictions. Laura, I'll come to you first. What are you thinking? What do you think the score will be on Sunday against Arsenal?
I think I'm going to miss loads of goals, and I can see us scoring. I say 2-2.
2-2. Randall, what do you think?
I think it's going to be 1-1.
1-1. And Rob,
I'll stick with me 3-1.
I was going to say I've already had one kind of red flag, but I'm pretty sure you said before that we were going to 3-1. I think it'll be quite a boring game. I'm going to say 1-1 as well. I can't see us getting too much, to be honest, but I think 1-1 as well. We'll leave it there. The boys from the Trusters, Alex and George Culkin, will be on at 8:30 with Chris. They're doing a Q&A about the 1892 pledge and stuff. I recommend that you do watch, because there's been a lot of rubbish thrown about on Twitter over the last couple of days.
That's polite.
I was just going to say that's one way to put it.
I'm trying to keep it PG because it's only 10 past. But there's been a load of bollocks all over Twitter, basically. There's false accusations and there's just all sorts. So Alex and George have got, not that they need the chance or they need to prove themselves, because they really don't, but they'll be answering questions from 8:30 with Chris about the pledge. So if you do have any questions or any doubts, fire them in, and they'll be happy to answer them, and hopefully they'll clear up some of the rumours that have been flying around, the false accusations, like I say. That'll be from 8:30. I know me and Laura have both got really busy weeks next week, so I don't actually know when we'll be back, what day, what time, if at all, who knows. But we'll be back at some point, I'm sure. I don't know if it'll be next week, but keep an eye on the socials and you'll see an update once we'll have one. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to our guests. Thanks to Rob. Thanks to Randall. Thanks to Laura, as always. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's nice to, I know we did end on a little bit of a downer there, but it is nice to talk about positive football for a change. And we've been really enjoying the last few shows and really enjoying talking about positive things. So Newcastle, if any of the players or managers watching, just keep it up. Make our lives just make our lives so much easier, please. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Keep an eye on the socials for when we'll be back next week at some point, I'm assuming. And 8:30, don't forget to tune in and see Alex and George doing a Q&A with Chris. And we will see you next time. Thank you.